SiriusXM's Faction Talk gives you your daily dose of hard rock and metal conversation.
I listen every day.
Trunk Nation, with the most comprehensive and biggest voice in the world of hard rock and metal, Eddie Trunk.
I love him and he's awesome.
Hey, what's happening, folks? It is, I think it's the final day of April, right? Final day of the month.
30 days has April.
30 days. Yeah, thank you, Joel. 30 days of April. So that's it. We're done with the month of April. Tomorrow is May. Tomorrow, of course, is Free for All Friday. This Thursday, the 30th of April, we are good to go for, of course, Trunk Nation live in the 3 to 5 Eastern window, anytime live or on demand using the SiriusXM app. Your host is a bit tired today because of the wonderful symphony of leaf blowers. I have a little park out front of my place here in Vegas. And usually the landscaping people come, later in the day. They decided they were going to start their leaf blowing or whatever they're blowing out there because it's the desert. There's not a lot of leaves. They decided they were going to start that at around 7:45 this morning. And it's a small park, but you would have swore it was Central Park with how long and how thorough they were with the leaf blowing. So it sounded like motorcycles running through the park for hours. I'm looking out the window. I'm like, I don't know, guys. Looks pretty clean to me. I think you can shut it down, but nope. I don't think there's any dirt left in the desert out there right now. Oh, man. So I was like up and pacing and like, when are they going to shut this down? And then, of course, it became too late to go back to sleep because I had to be up to do this. So here we are. But, I saw Sebastian Bach go off about that once on social media. I was this close to posting about it on social media. I'm like, nobody cares. I'm not going to bother a post for that. But it amazes me on a daily basis what people post on social media. So I try to refrain sometimes, but there are people that tell you their whole life every minute on social media, which is always head scratching to me. But anyway, to each their own. I remember Sebastian. I don't remember when. It was a while ago. He made some post. I could feel his rage through his post because there were leaf blowers in his area early in the morning. Because, especially in this town in Vegas, there are people that work shift work. They work overnights and what have you. And so there's really, I guess, no great time to do it. But anyway, pumping a little caffeine, getting ready for the day here, and hope you guys are doing well. And that you are not tortured by the symphony of leaf blowers wherever you may be in the country. So we do indeed have Phil Mogg today. If you have kept an eye on social media, as I always tell you to do, because we always have stuff that happens with this show, being a live show, to let you know about. We were unsure because Phil was not responding in the last day or so to anybody. But he responded to me this morning. He responded to the publicist. So we have Phil Mogg, the legendary lead singer and original member, and the only guy who has been a part of UFO for every single album they ever made since the late 60s. Phil Mogg will join us live coming up at 3:30 Eastern. And you all know how I feel about UFO. You all know how I feel about Phil. Not going to rehash it now. Phil sent an email this morning. He's in England. So it came in sometime in the middle of the night. He said, yes, Eddie, that will be at 8:30 at night, my time. It's kind of bedtime for me, but I found some speed that Lemmy gave me a while ago, so I'm going to do that and I'll be good to go. If you know Phil's sense of humor, that is Phil Mogg in a nutshell. So needless to say, I am extraordinarily excited to speak to one of my true rock heroes from one of my all-time favorite bands, and we'll spend a little time with him. We won't keep him too long. Again, it is the evening in England where he is. And as previously announced, we were going to do a show today as a default because I didn't know if we were going to have Phil. And tying in with UFO, who I feel are one of the most, in my opinion, maybe the most underrated band of all time. And Phil, maybe the most underrated singer and lyricist of all time. So tying into that, I had said we were going to do a show today that I was just going to call Underrated for you guys to call in with your most underrated band or musician. And we can and will still do that. But we'll now do it after the Phil Mogg interview, which again should end by, I would think, around 4 o'clock Eastern time. So should have the whole second hour today for that. If you were thinking about that and you've got something you want to call in. And of course, tomorrow we have wide open phones, so we can pick up more on that if you choose to do that tomorrow with your phone call as well. Also, schedule update for next week. I will be off next week, Wednesday and Thursday. So you will get best of shows. We will have live shows next week, Monday, Tuesday, and Friday. And I can tell you we have guests on Monday and Tuesday booked already. Monday, Phil Collins, legendary drummer, singer, now going into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame as a solo artist. He will join us live on Monday's show, the back end of the show. So towards the end of the show, like the last 20, 30 minutes, around 4:30 Eastern on Monday. And then on Tuesday, Neil Schon of Journey will join me and returns to the program. So we have a first-time guest in Phil Collins. We have a returning guest in Neil Schon on Tuesday. Then Wednesday, Thursday, best ofs. Friday, back live for a free-for-all Friday. That's what we got next week already set. Speaking of Journey, I did indeed go see them play last night here in Vegas. They played at a casino resort called Red Rocks, which was celebrating its 20th anniversary. It is not on the Strip. It's about 25 minutes away from the Strip. Very nice place, though, more of a local spot in an area of Vegas called Summerlin. Beautiful area. And the place, this was definitely, if you know Phil's sense of humor, that is Phil Mogg in a nutshell. So needless to say, I am extraordinarily excited to speak to one of my true rock heroes from one of my all-time favorite bands, and we'll spend a little time with him. We won't keep him too long. Again, it is the evening in England where he is. And as previously announced, we were going to do a show today as a default because I didn't know if we were going to have Phil. And tying in with UFO, who I feel are one of the most, in my opinion, maybe the most underrated band of all time. And Phil, maybe the most underrated singer and lyricist of all time. So tying into that, I had said we were going to do a show today that I was just going to call Underrated for you guys to call in with your most underrated band or musician. And we can and will still do that. But we'll now do it after the Phil Mogg interview, which again should end by, I would think, around 4 o'clock Eastern time. So should have the whole second hour today for that. If you were thinking about that and you've got something you want to call in. And of course, tomorrow we have wide open phones, so we can pick up more on that if you choose to do that tomorrow with your phone call as well. Also, schedule update for next week. I will be off next week, Wednesday and Thursday. So you will get best of shows. We will have live shows next week, Monday, Tuesday, and Friday. And I can tell you we have guests on Monday and Tuesday booked already. Monday, Phil Collins, legendary drummer, singer, now going into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame as a solo artist. He will join us live on Monday's show, the back end of the show. So towards the end of the show, like the last 20, 30 minutes, around 4:30 Eastern on Monday. And then on Tuesday, Neil Schon of Journey will join me and returns to the program. So we have a first-time guest in Phil Collins. We have a returning guest in Neil Schon on Tuesday. Then Wednesday, Thursday, best ofs. Friday, back live for a free-for-all Friday. That's what we got next week already set. Speaking of Journey, I did indeed go see them play last night here in Vegas. They played at a casino resort called Red Rocks, which was celebrating its 20th anniversary. It is not on the Strip. It's about 25 minutes away from the Strip. Very nice place, though, more of a local spot in an area of Vegas called Summerlin. Beautiful area. And the place, this was definitely for Journey, what would be known in the industry as an underplay. Journey, a band that obviously does a bunch of people, arenas and stadiums. This was an outdoor pool stage. And in all honesty, it was not the most conducive place to see a band like Journey for a couple of reasons. Number one, it was an outside pool area. So a lot of the standing room, you can't stand because there were pools. There were people last night that I was watching that came within an inch of falling into the pool. Not to mention there were people that were drinking quite a bit. Now, I don't know, because there was multiple pools out in this area. I don't know if they got out of there with nobody going in the pool last night. And it was not warm last night in Vegas. It was not cold, but it was about 65, 70 degrees out there. So that water would have been pretty cold if you went in there. There are resorts that do outdoor concerts at night, and they allow you to go into the pool. This was not one of those. But the pools were all open, and there were people because this place was so packed, totally sold out. I saw people with their feet just over the lip of the entrance of the pool. I'm like, my gosh, they just take one step, half a step, and they are in the water. It was very, very hard to walk around the pools because there were so many people. So there was that. But the other aspect of it was the sound was not great. I don't know why the PA sounded like it was overdriven, like it was clipping. It sounded distorted at times. And, I don't know why. I don't think this place does a lot of concerts out there. It was all temporary staging and things like that. But all that being said, people seem to have a great time. When you have hits like Journey has, obviously, people are going to hear those hits and be excited, and they have hit after hit after hit. And what was interesting about that is there were a lot of hits in their catalog they did not do. They did a fair amount of deep tracks, including a couple really early songs in their catalog, like before the Steve Perry, before just early stuff, not hits. They also did a fair amount of solos. They did a fair amount of jamming. There was, drum solo from Dean Castronovo. Neil did a guitar solo. There was a keyboard solo from Jonathan Cain. So there was and I think a lot of that is also to give a rest to the vocals, which are extraordinary, obviously, replicating the harmonies and obviously what Steve Perry did, that Arnel now does. And there are now 3 people in that band that do lead singing. There was the keyboard player, I think Jonathan Cain sang a song. Dean Castronovo, who has an incredible voice, sang a song or two. And Arnel is out there now maybe 60, 70% of the time. So, we've seen a lot in the media about Arnel and how much he does or does not want to keep doing this, and his desire if he wants to keep doing this or not. So you can tell they're trying to help him out as much as possible. I still think he does a great job, but they are taking a lot off of him by doing solos with no vocals at all, and then letting some of the other guys sing lead vocals on songs. Overall, I enjoyed it, but it was not, if I'm being totally honest, not the best environment if you really want to see a concert. I mean, I was looking around trees in order to see the stage because there were, palm trees up. I mean, it was not a full open area just for a concert, and it was completely packed, as you would imagine. I didn't see anybody in the band. I was texting with Neil. Neil got me in. I appreciate that. Thank you, Neil. But I got there and they were getting ready to go on. There was a interesting opening act. It was they had a Zeppelin tribute open for them. They never said what the name of the band was, but I found out it was called, I think, Zepp USA or Led Zeppelin USA. And a friend of mine, Christian Brady, was playing guitar. And they were really good. The singer nailed it. And I never expected that, but they did a 20-minute medley of Zeppelin tunes, and that's what the opening act was. And then Journey was on at 8:30, and they played an hour 40, roughly. So that was, my Journey report. But when I got home, because I got out of there before the last song because I wanted to beat the people in the traffic. So I got home and I got a text from Neil and he's like, hey, where are you? How come you didn't come back? I didn't see you. I told him I got out ahead of traffic and whatever. And he had told me he left me the wrong pass and it was all good. So anyway, he said, before I could even say anything, he said to me on text, he goes, the sound was bad in there last night, wasn't it? Tonight. I said, yeah, it was not great, the sound. And he goes, yeah, I couldn't hear anything on stage. I was struggling to hear. They just, the sound, the place just clearly not used to doing a concert at a pool at that level of a band like Journey. So anyway, all good. It wasn't like, oh my God, I can't listen to this. It was just, you could tell it was just not dialed in and sounded a bit distorted at times. Still glad I went. It was good to see him. But even Neil said to me on text last night, he's like, you got to come to a regular show in an arena so you can hear what it really is. And I agreed. I said, yeah, I'd love to do that. And they are adding more shows. So there will be plenty of opportunities to do that. So that's my report last night from Journey in Vegas. A bunch of other stuff here in news. Let me run through as much of that as I can. And then we will get to Phil Mogg, and then we will get to you guys for what we are calling underrated, if you will, where you guys can just, hit me with who you think are some of the most underrated musicians or artists ever. All right, Def Leppard announced a greatest hits album on vinyl only, single vinyl, tying in with their most recent tour. Really nothing of note here. There are many, many Def Leppard greatest hits and compilations at this point. This one just being for the vinyl junkies, really, and being branded with their most recent touring. Usual different configurations in terms of colored vinyl and things like that. Also, Joe Holmes, former guitarist for Ozzy and David Lee Roth, has officially announced his new album, simply out under his name. Previously, Joe released music under the name Pharmakos. This time, he's just putting it out under the name Joe Holmes. Appearing on the record with him in the band or on the recording is Robert Trujillo from Metallica, Mike Bordin of Faith No More. Both of them were in the Ozzy band when Joe played in it. It's real good stuff coming out in June, the full album, a couple tracks out from it already. Speaking of David Lee Roth, much has been made online today of the fact that he is doing the Billy Joel song, New York State of Mind, in his current live show. What I find interesting about that, and this ties into something I said about a month ago when I said I don't understand when artists do covers when they have extensive, deep catalogs. David Lee Roth does not even do one song from his own solo catalog, and he has big songs on Eat 'Em and Smile. But he's doing a Billy Joel cover. But Dave is Dave, and you never know what you're going to get with Dave. Sadly, and I read this one in Blabbermouth, according to this post in the news area of Blabbermouth today, well, what I read from this is certainly not surprising. Explore all the different ways that they are going to market and sell Ozzy and branding for Ozzy going forward. Of course, with him now no longer being with us. This is not unlike what we've seen with a lot of other deceased rock artists, but they are going to be participating in this licensing expo to figure out how they're going to keep Ozzy and his name and his likeness and his legacy and his branding on things going forward. So what this all means is Ozzy may be gone and the music may be done, but you're going to see a lot of Ozzy marketed and branded related stuff coming down the pike. To that end, in England, an Ozzy Osbourne branded cologne was announced at $370 a bottle, which did sell out. The good news about this one is that they are donating 20% of the profits made on this Ozzy branded cologne to Parkinson's, which of course Ozzy was dealing with. I want to give a mention to a friend, Tony Montana of Great White fame. He has a band called Shadow and the Thrill. We've talked about it a few times. Released a new single today called Hangover Sex. Also, news today that outlaw country artist David Allan Coe passed away at the age of 86 years old. Why are we covering a country artist? Well, pretty legendary figure in the world of country music, but also because David Allan Coe did cross over into the metal world about 20 years ago when he did an album with Vinnie Diamond Rex from Pantera. You may have this record. It was done under the name Rebel Meets Rebel. I remember I don't remember if it was Rex or Vinny or one of the guys on to promote it on the radio show at the time it came out. And David Allan Coe was the singer on it, so it was a fusion of metal and country at the time. David Allan Coe, deceased at the age of 86, announced by his family. Also, we just had Damon Johnson and Johnny Van Zant of Leonard Skinner on the show. Just, what was it? What's today? Tuesday, I think that was. If you missed it, on the SiriusXM app, we also have video of it coming soon. Those guys talked about couple things. Obviously, the Brother Kane record, which Johnny contributed a song to with Damon. And we also, of course talked about Skynyrd, who are doing a tour with Foreigner this summer. Today, Skynyrd have announced additional shows that are headline dates without Foreigner. The dates run September 3rd through October 4th. There is a bit of a gap in there. I don't know if that's just time off or if they're going to fill in additional shows. These dates predominantly in the West, including a date here in Vegas at the Palms Casino. Also, we've been talking a little bit about Paul Stanley and Gene Simmons' sons, Nick and Evan, who started a band together under the name Stanley Simmons. They've put out a couple songs already, very eclectic. Some of it's rock-based, some of it's more singer-songwriter, kind of Simon and Garfunkel-based. Some of it's quite different. They have announced officially their debut album coming on August 28th called Dancing While the World is Ending. Another track from this record, a third song expected to be released in about a week. They've also announced a few live shows all in Southern California. Also here in Vegas, there is going to be another Pool concert at a venue called The Strat, and it's more of an 80s themed new wave-ish type deal, maybe even late 70s. Some of the acts performing on it include Missing Persons, which these days just includes the lead singer, Dale Bozio. And also on the bill is The Knack. Yes, the power pop band that brought you My Sharona, Good Girls Don't, all those great tunes. Now, of course, Doug Fieger from The Knack passed away a number of years ago. But again, file this under NBEE because The Knack is back with just one original member, and that's bassist Prescott Niles. And interestingly, the lead singer for this version of The Knack is none other than Matt Starr, best known as a drummer, who has played with a ton of people, including Mr. Big and Ace Frehley. He is out front singing and playing rhythm guitar. Again, the sole original member of the band is the bass player Prescott. They make their live debut this Saturday in Southern California at the Canyon Club, also playing, as I mentioned, that date in Vegas on this sort of 80s, late 70s throwback bill that is out at a pool stage at the Strat. I don't have the exact date right in front of me, but you can find that online. Also tonight, of note, Guns N' Roses begin their U.S. dates. GNR have been over in South America and Mexico and various other parts of the world for a while now. As we know, they have U.S. dates throughout the summer. They play the first one tonight in Hollywood, Florida at the Hard Rock at about a 5,000 capacity theater that is inside the Guitar Tower there at the Hard Rock in Hollywood. I've been there many times. And as I mentioned, they are building one of those Guitar Tower hotels here in Vegas on the Strat as we speak, on the Strip rather, as we speak. It is the old Mirage, the legendary resort. The Mirage has been remodeled and completely redone and is now going to be in 2028 open as a Hard Rock Guitar Tower hotel, the second one in the world. And I went by it yesterday. That thing is unbelievable. It is going to be the latest thing that changes the skyline and the Strip here in Vegas. It is a massive guitar that will sit right on the Strip, right in front of where the Mirage was. And it looks to me to be about 3/4 done. But to watch these things go up is pretty amazing because, you know, you're seeing a guitar that's actually a hotel, you know, being built, just going up and up and up, right up to the neck of the guitar. I'm sure somebody's documenting each day how much that thing goes up. It's so cool to see. And when that is done, I was told it's going to be the highest thing on the Strip. And, of course, the whole guitar, if you've seen the one in Florida, lights up and has images on it. So it's going to be insane when that thing is done. And I know some people with the Hard Rock, and they've been telling me that, yes, there will be live music venues in there as well. So even more venues coming to Vegas. But tonight, tonight, Guns N' Roses at the Guitar Hotel in Hollywood, Florida, kicking off U.S. dates. And another one to file under NBEE, No Band Ever Ends. Ted Nugent said, farewell, adios, I'm done. And Ted Nugent with concert dates April through July of this year. Ted texts me all the time. We got to get him back on to talk about all this. Total character. He is doing these shows in conjunction with the U.S. celebrating its 250th birthday. Do I have anything else? I don't think so. I think I got most of the stuff I needed to tell you about today in... Yeah, I think that's pretty much covering it, at least for me. Joel, anything you want to jump in on?
You got most of what I had. I'll play a bit of Hangover Sex from Shadow and the Thrill here as we go to break. Another new release today. It's a 30-year anniversary reinterpretation of the song Swallowed by Bush. That was just released today. They're doing all sorts of stuff for their 30th year of that album.
Cool. I like that song. I haven't heard the new version of it, but I like that song. I played it many times on the radio back in my music radio days. All right, cool. Thank you, Joel. Appreciate that. All right, you know the deal. So we got Phil Mogg. We do have Phil from UFO. He has surfaced. He will be joining us live right after the commercial break. And then when we're done with him, 20, 30 minutes, we will shift into what we had planned to do as a topic today. And it ties in with how I feel about Phil and UFO. Your most underrated bands or musicians. So we're still going to do that. We'll just do it in the second hour. And again, that can go into tomorrow's Free For All Friday too, if you'd like. All right, we'll come right back after the break, and we should have Phil Mogg live with us from England here on Trunk Nation.
My hands are so tight. Wanna find your curves in the middle of the night. I have to spin it till the morning comes.
The Bonfire with Big J. Okerson and Robert Kelly.
There's a place called Yum Yum's, the best donut ever. I went there, the lady had one left, and then she knocks it over with her stomach onto the floor. And I went, I'll take it. What? She goes, it fell on the donut floor. I don't care. I want that donut.
You called it a donut floor. That's not a thing.
It's all perspective.
In your mind, the whole place is essentially donut.
I don't
Because
care.
I pulled it out of the toilet. The donut toilet.
The Bonfire. Weeknights at 5 p.m. Eastern on Faction Talk. Or anytime on the SiriusXM app.
All right, everyone, gird your loins.
This is not just another interview. Let's not be careless. The Devil Wears Prada 2 front row has arrived, and so has the conversation everyone will pretend they heard first.
I mean, it's a decision.
If you haven't listened yet, we'll assume you've been busy making other mistakes.
You don't have time for this
No, I
answer?
do. I'm just,
What
well,
an
Meryl's
ad.
on my ass today already.
The Must Listen special is now streaming on the SiriusXM app. Do try to keep up.
That's all.
Ready for big fun? Start for free at Chumba Casino. Sign up and enjoy a welcome bonus with gold coins and sweeps coins to explore hundreds of online social casino games, all from your phone. Spin, play, and discover something new whenever you feel like it, with no downloads needed. More games, more ways to play. Let's Chumba. Only available in permitted states. No purchase necessary. See terms and conditions for details. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 21 plus.
Hi, I'm Steven Singer. Yep, the I Hate Steven Singer guy. But you know who does love me? Moms on Mother's Day. For all that your mom does, I know she doesn't want the same old last-minute card and flowers that die in a week. The same old dinner at the pickle garden. Nope. Get your mom or the mother of your children one of my beautiful 24-karat gold dip roses in exclusive colors just for her. A real rose dipped in pure 24-karat gold, guaranteed to last a lifetime, just like your mom's love. My gold roses start at just $69. Ship for free in your own signature gift box with your own personalized Mother's Day card. That's free shipping, free lifetime guarantee, free personalized Mother's Day card, and all in exclusive colors that you can only get at IHateStevenSinger.com. Start her bouquet of love now. Visit us at the other corner of 8th and Walnut in Philly, or the Village of Newtown, Bucks County. Steven Singer Jewelers. That's IHateStevenSinger.com.
Just hearing the word IRS can make people break out in a cold sweat. No one wants to deal with the IRS, and now you don't have to. The good news is Legal Tax Defense has been successfully negotiating with the IRS for more than 15 years. It doesn't matter how much you owe, whether it's $5,000 or $5 million. You deserve the best in the business on your side, and that is Legal Tax Defense. Even if you're working with someone else and just want a second opinion, there is no cost or obligation to call. They can prevent levies, liens, wage garnishments, even file back tax returns. And the best news about Legal Tax Defense is they won't take your case unless they know they will reduce or eliminate your tax debt. Call Legal Tax Defense right now for a free no-risk consultation. 800-278-1120. 800-278-1120. You have nothing to lose but everything to gain. 800-278-1120.
Another accident? What happened? Our truck driver got cut off, and they're getting blamed. No witnesses, no proof, and insurance is skyrocketing. Wait, our drivers shouldn't take the blame for this? Exactly why we need Samsara. Their AI dashcam show real-time video proving when our drivers aren't at fault. So we protect our drivers and avoid false claims? Yep. Companies using Samsara have exonerated their drivers and saved millions on insurance.
Protect your drivers and your bottom line at Samsara.com. Samsara. Operates smarter.
And now, more talk that rocks. Trunk Nation with Eddie Trunk, the Nostradamus of rock.
Hell yeah.
Sirius XM's Faction Talk.
Okay, so we don't have Phil Mogg just yet. We are working on that. He got back to me and said he was good, and so I'm not sure what is happening. We'll see. Hold on a second. I'm just going.
He might be being screened now as well.
He might be there now?
It might be talking to him. We're trying to get him on the line. We're working on it. Oh, wait. It looks like we have him. Yeah.
All right, great. All right, looks like we do have Phil Mogg. So let's get right to him here on Trunk Nation. And we don't want to keep him. It's way past his bedtime. He had said that he had to borrow some old speed from Lemmy in order to be awake. We certainly don't want him to have to do that. Welcome, Phil. How are you?
Oh, I'm fine, thank you. You didn't read that, did you, about the Lemmy bag of speed?
Of course I did.
Oh, my goodness me. We had to throw a joke in there somewhere. Yeah.
Of course, those days are long behind you, I know, but still very funny.
Yeah, very funny.
How are you? How, Phil, most importantly, before we talk about anything, most importantly, how is your health?
Pretty good. I could probably beat you around the block at a race, depending on what's at the end of the race, like the prize. But no, it's pretty good. Pretty good. Yeah.
So you're all clear as far as health, no setbacks, no issues, and you know you're in a good spot now.
No, with plenty of issues. It's like an old car. You know, bits fall off. It's sort of, you go for an MOT now and again, you know, government checkout, see whether everything's working. No, it's as it is. As you get slightly older, you notice certain things, which I'm sure most people do.
Oh, I certainly do. I talk to my friends about it all the time. I mean, I'm a bit younger than you, but yeah, I mean, every day there's something, a new creak or something. Oh, I never felt that before. Or you put your foot on the floor when you get out of bed and you're like, ooh. So I know exactly what you mean, but.
Yeah, there's a real good, was it, Delta Blues song it's called, what's it? I ain't too tough to grow old or something. It's one of those real old Delta Blues things, but there's some great lyrics on it. Yeah.
Well, I know that we are here to talk about the next in the series of UFO reissues, and we are now into the early 80s, and there's been some fantastic deluxe editions of the UFO catalog, and now we're into the second album of the Paul Chapman era of the band, a period of the band that I've talked about that I loved equal to the Michael era. This is the second album, The Wild, Willing, Innocent, the second record made with Paul Chapman as the guitarist. I love this record so much, Phil. What are your recollections about making this record when you initially did it back in 1981?
That's a definite fond, memory. That was really good. We got the freedom to use the studio. Actually, I think Chrysalis popped in once or twice and then just let us get on with it, which was great. We got the bill at the end, but it was good going, it was a bit like do what you want, and we did exactly that. We had a great time doing it and kind of bringing in different things, the orchestration stuff, that was really good. The whole venture was great fun. Yeah, excellent. Delirious fun, in actual fact. And it was one of those albums which started at a certain time and would go on forever. There was no kind of stopping. I'll see you tomorrow, and it would be late or early, and a great fun album.
I mentioned that that this was the second record with Paul as an official member of the band, and I love No Place to Run as well, which was his debut with the band, but on record at least. But I wondered because and sadly we lost Paul Chapman a few years ago. But I loved what he did, and I loved, as I've said, his era equal to what the previous era was, the songs and everything. And as a matter of fact, the first time I ever saw UFO was on the tour for Wild, Willing, and Innocent in New Jersey with Cheap Trick. I'll never forget it. It was a double bill, and that was my first time seeing the band live. But Phil, Paul notoriously had a hard time, I think, initially getting over with the UFO fans, probably, I would think, coming in right on the heels of Michael with No Place to Run and all of that. But with this record, after he had maybe cemented himself a bit with No Place to Run and the touring for that, do you recall, like, for this record, was it more accepted and established that he was the guitar player going forward?
Look, we have to bear in mind that Paul's Welsh, and he didn't really give about. I can't believe he faced down some stuff when he first joined. We got audience-wise, we got a lot of, "Hey, where's Michael?" or stuff. But as far as he was concerned, he was the guitarist then and now, and that was it. So by the time we got to, I'd known him for years before, though, too. So I was perfectly used to how he was. But by the time we got to the Wild, the Willing, he was fully integrated. Not that he took much trouble to integrate anyway, but he was fully integrated into the band, and he just, Paul is a big character person, and we kind of moulded a lot more on that album than we'd done on, I think, anything after. I think that was Paul with us to the Wild, the Willing. I think that was there was a high point in there, at that point, which I was very grateful for.
When you say that Paul Chapman was a big character, I can only imagine, because of course there was another big character in UFO. that sadly we also lost, and that is Pete Way. So how did the characters mesh together?
Oh, squeeze them in. Bring it on. Wow. It was quite dynamic. It was a whole, like a mad party you go to, and you go, blimey, that was a mad party. It was a bit like that. The two of them joined hands and were, it was like the two kids at school that sat next to one another and one egged the other one on. Yeah, it was quite something, I must say. Yeah, but good. It was absolute stuff you can remember, and usually fondly. So it was great.
And then the other thing, when you talk about the lineup at this period, was the arrival of Neil Carter. Now, I didn't realize this, and you can maybe create some clarity on this, but we know that Neil did the tour. He was shown on the album, but he did. Do I have it right? He didn't actually play on the album. He had just joined for the album. Is that correct?
No, as far as I remember, which probably isn't very reliable. Neil came in and did the work on the album. That's what I remember. There may have been someone brought in at some point to do something minor, but as far as I remember, Neil was the guy that did the album with us. That's my recollection of it all.
Okay, so according to Wikipedia, which of course can be wrong, it says that Neil was credited but did not perform. He did sax on Lonely Heart. However, the keys were actually performed by John Sloman. Does that sound right to you?
I've heard this before. John Sloman, I think, was a mate of Paul Chapman's. But not as far as I remember. No, I mean, Wikipedia. My gross worth is about $6 million, so I wouldn't believe everything you read on there. I'll have to check out your gross worth now.
It's 12. It's 12 million, Phil.
Pardon?
It's 12 million.
Oh dear. Someone said to me, "Hey, you're worth all this money." I said, "Where's that from?" Wikipedia. No, as far as I remember, Neil came in, took over, did the gig. If there were any incidentals, they were minor, and as far as that goes, I don't really remember. As far as my memory goes, it was all Neil.
And when you look at the writing on this record, so Neil Carter would become would contribute with writing starting on the next record for sure. Mechanics he had a big role in. On this record, predominantly the record was written by yourself and Paul on pretty much every track, with some contributions from Pete as well. What do you remember about writing the material? Because again, for people that don't follow the history of UFO, I mean, this was a big moment with now the second record with a new guitar player there, with Paul really cementing himself into the band. But what do you remember about coming up with the material and writing these songs? Because they are brilliant songs. Do you remember it being difficult? Did it go easy? Was it seamless because Paul had been there for a little bit as far as a band member?
It wasn't difficult at all. And I'm trying to remember. There's a couple of Pete tunes on there which I've kind of skipping my memory a bit. There was an enormous choice. Paul had a load of stuff, and you could pick and choose. So I picked what I could do best, and it worked on the majority of material that we had at the time. But what's it? Give me 3 chords and I can sing. What's it? Give me 3 chords, 2 pints of beer, and I can sing to it. No, it was. It worked well. We got along well, and he's an easy person to work with. You know, it's some people you work with are kind of a bit prickly, and if you want to try and change things and that, you have a difficulty. How do you put it? Being diplomatic and saying, do you think we could? But with Paul, it was more like, hey, I tell you what, it's not. You're not hearing it, are you? Let me try this. One of those guys would try something else if you're stuck up an alley somewhere. No, it was really good, and easy. It wasn't difficult.
And much is made when people look at this record, even right into the title of the record, "The Wild, Willing, and the Innocent," as a play on and an influence of Bruce Springsteen. Was there a Springsteen influence on you at this time?
Not in. That came from a book I'd read somewhere. Actually, the title it was It's one of those detective ones, not Raymond. One of those things. But at the time, what came up, I'd heard, what was it? Born to Run came out, and which was a real different take on lyrical rock, blah, blah, blah. It was like if you go from Dylan to all the other guys, which for the moment, I can't ramble off, but it was a real different take on it, and I thought, this is cool. At least we've got a rock with some sort of lyrical format there. I wouldn't say it was an influence. It was more like an awakening where you go, wow, this ain't half bad. But it's certainly not heavy rock or metal or whatever, but I kind of like a lyrical form in that you know, if you're playing that thing and you don't know how to sing about wizards or future universes or anything, then it's best to stick to the gritty what you know, and he was more down that line. It was a pleasant surprise.
So it sounds like it did have that album had some influence on you at the time as a songwriter and shaping it for UFO in your own way.
Oh, I think it was a bit like I'd forgotten about. You forget about kind of people like Tim Hardin. There's what's his name? Suzanne Takes You Down and Oranges by the Sea. Leonard Cohen. They've got nothing to do with rock, but those guys, Gordon Lightfoot, you could go on forever, Bob Dylan, you sometimes can forget about that. And I think when I heard that, I thought, oh, blimey, I'd forgotten about all the other stuff. So it makes you go back and go, aha, that's what's going on. It was a bit of I would call it more of a wake-up call if you've been a bit idle in the mind. Yeah.
And Phil, I could ask you about every.
Sorry, Eddie, just a minute. I do like his wife's album, Patti Scafella, Rumble Doll. That was it. I thought, blimey, she's better than him. Yeah. Okay.
I could easily ask you about every track on the record, but I'm not going to ask you that. But I do have to ask you about one, because it is one of my all-time favorite songs, and it is certainly one of my favorites on this record, and it closes the album, and it's got an incredible vocal from you and an incredible guitar solo from Paul Chapman. The last track on the record, Professional Violence. Tell me about that one.
Oh, that's from at the time there was a resurgence of there's a couple of movies about the Cray brothers the Cray Twins over here, which were the East End Gangsters. But the book came out. I think the book was called Profession of Violence. Sorry about that. But it was about that whole malarkey of that. It was kind of from the 50s era where it was gangsters, East End gangsters and stuff. And it kind of, it fitted with the tune. So that was where that's where that came from. It was from basically reading about all that nasty stuff.
Phil, do you remember where Paul came up with the guitar melody and the outro solo on that? Because the song, for people that know it, it's piano and it's incredible melody and vocal, but then it just goes into this incredibly melodic guitar solo that goes for a couple minutes that ends the song. Do you remember him bringing that to you, or how that got put on the song and how it merged with what you were doing lyrically?
I think there might be a bit of Jan Ackerman in there. There's a bit of something from... No, it's one of those came in late afternoon, and I think we've been jollying down the pub, and he was very jolly, and whipped it out. It's one of those moments when someone goes, "Here," or in Paul's case, "Here, I tell you what, I've got this solo." It's bad Welsh accent for any Welsh people, sorry. And he whipped that one out of the bag. Yeah, it was just one of those magical moments after several pints of Guinness, several shots, and no, I was one of those moments. We was having a jolly afternoon.
And included on the deluxe edition of Wild, Willing, and Innocent, there is a concert from this period, which was in England. What do you remember about the touring for this record, if anything? Because as I mentioned, I was in high school at the time, and this was my first time seeing the band live. I saw you in New Jersey in the middle of a snowstorm at the Rutgers Athletic Center. You were on a bill with Cheap Trick. That's what I saw here in the U.S. But what do you remember overall about touring this record?
I remember not a lot. Hang on, not a lot. I remember Cheap Trick. That was a bit of a laugh. And I remember a snowstorm. Wow. It was one of those periods you have good memories from. It was a good time. It was great touring. And everything was sort of like hunky-dory. It was all good. Yeah, it was a real good period for us. And then
let me ask. Go ahead.
Sorry. I was going to go into a monologue then, but I've stopped. Okay.
Oh, I'd love to hear it if you'd like to continue.
Oh no! We haven't got enough time.
Okay, so then let me ask you this. Moving on from this record, which is a phenomenal record, and everybody get the reissue. You put out an album a year or two ago, Mog's Motel, which was fantastic. Do you plan to continue that? Do you want to do more of that?
Well, talking of which, we're doing an album, and everything got screwed up after we did that, touring-wise or playing gig-wise or anything. But we're going to do this and probably go out the beginning of next year and do some gigs, which a lot of people have said, well, aren't you going to do any gigs? And now I'm going, right, okay, we'll do some gigs. Let's do this. So, no, we're going to pop out and, test the water.
So you're doing a new Moggs Motel record, or you're going to tour for the one you've put out already?
No, we're going to do a new one. We've got a load of cool stuff, so we're going to do an album, and we're going to go out and do some gigs with that. Hopefully some of those really neat little festivals which we have over here. That would be nice.
So that's great news. So more music coming, and you feel up to doing some gigs again and getting back up on stage.
Well, I've been practicing shapes in my front room and some mic swiveling. I'm thinking, now, is that good enough? No, I haven't quite managed to get the scissors down, though. The leap and the scissors. That seems to escape me. But the moves are there.
Well, there's a track tying in with Wild, Willing, and Innocent called "Making Moves," so maybe that inspired it a bit.
Yeah, that means get a move on. Get a move on. We did that. Yes, we do play that one live. Making Moves. Yeah.
Great song. Okay, so then that begs the obvious question, which I can't let you off the hook on. If you're gonna get up and do some shows, do you have any interest in your heart, in any way, shape, or form, to do a proper final farewell UFO show in some ways? Does that interest you at all?
No, it's I think that's like one of those kind of romances that you can't go back to. You know, it's an affair you had, which was great, and you dream and you say, oh, that was a great... Feel like the woman you think it was marvellous and you go back to and you go, nah, wasn't. I don't think you can go back to things like that, and I don't think you can kind of recreate it even. I mean, it'd be a bit of a laugh, but that's about it. No, I wouldn't want to try and get that back. It was a one-off, two-off, whatever, and I think I kind of like to leave things like that.
How did you feel about Michael recently doing a tour all over the world playing all UFO? Did you pick up on that at all? Do you have any thoughts on that?
Well, I checked the PRS.
What is the PRS?
It's Performing Rights Society. And
to get paid.
Oh,
I got you.
All right.
Did you see some money from him playing the songs?
I hope so. No.
There's the six. Hey, Phil,
I was what?
That's why your Wikipedia. That's why your Wikipedia says 6 million, because Michael did that tour. That's all money coming to you.
Oh, these bloody Germans coming here. No, I didn't. I kind of looked at it and thought, wow, I know, I sort of went, wow, you're covering your own, you're playing in a band, doing a cover band, playing cover songs of your own songs. I found it a bit, I find that kind of thing a bit tacky. Personally, if I was really looking to do new material, because you can put those numbers into your own set if you want, but to do actual whole tour with them is quite unusual. But I'm sure it was good. I wonder about some of the songs, so doing them, without a professional singer. Oh, stop it! See that you got me going, Eddie.
I just asked the question.
No, Do you know, I didn't actually take much notice of it. It's great. It's good that someone's out there playing the tunes.
Would you, when you do these gigs with Mog's Motel next year, will you do some UFO in the set? I assume you would, right?
Yeah, you definitely. I wanted to cover the some of those from that period and more of the the good stuff. I definitely probably do. My one is I'm definitely going to do Love to Love. Only because after all these years, I listened to it the other day and I thought, we've never done the intro. Yes, every time we played it live, we've never done the intro that's on the record.
Right, that's true.
It surprised me that I thought, blimey, I'd forgotten all about that, But, definitely some UFO stuff in there.
And lastly, your drummer Andy Parker has been getting up and playing some gigs with a UFO tribute in the U.S. called Lights Out. I've hosted some of the shows, and we've got 3 more coming up later this summer. So it's nice to see Andy is still very much up for getting behind the kid and playing. Have you been in touch with him at all?
Oh yeah, we speak on. Well, we mail one another, usually about our pets, our dogs. I speak to him. Somebody sent me the thing he's going out, but yeah, good for him. Is he still using that Zimmer?
Using what?
A Zimmer frame. It's like a walking frame. No.
You mean like to help him walk?
Come on. Oh, I'm sorry. Look, we call it a Zimmer frame over here. They give it to elderly people that, helps you get along.
Well, he was having, when I had dinner with him about a year or so ago, he was having an issue with his back, but no, he was, he played a 2-hour set behind the drum kit of all UFO songs. He got off the kit at the end of the show. He said to me, UFO has never played that long. He said he couldn't believe he did it.
Lazy old drummer. Oh dear. No, he's a lovely bloke. Yeah.
Indeed.
He's a lovely bloke. His mum loved him. That was it.
When can we expect to hear the new Mog's Motel music? How far along are you with it?
We're midway. We should have it tied up by the end of the summer, and then we're out releasing and have a video, which I must admit is rather marvellous. I'm great at miming. Bear that in mind. Any miming gigs coming up, I'm great at miming.
And are you working with the same band, Tony Newton and those guys?
Oh, yeah. And Neil Carter, yeah.
Neil's in as well. Yeah,
he's a diamond.
Yeah, I think I was just on a cruise with Tony, but I never saw him because I think he was playing with Steve Harris in British Lion, but we never connected. But I spoke to him on a cruise about a year ago, so I know he's very excited to continue working with you on it.
Is that a boat cruise?
Yeah, Monsters of Rock.
Oh, sorry, I just thought you meant cruise. I don't know where you blokes cruise. Oh. Yes, those cruises. They're quite fun, aren't they?
Yeah, you did it a number of years ago with UFO, I remember.
Yeah, that's right. I was waiting for one of those earthquakes in the ocean. They scare the life out of me. I'm not a sailor.
I remember on that cruise that you guys were on, the image of seeing Andy Parker in his pajamas watching the Academy Awards in his room.
oh, not a pretty sight. Should have taken a snap.
Maybe Mog's Motel on a cruise in the future. That would be cool. Would you be up for that?
Yeah, I'd go for that. Yeah, they kind of can be relaxing if you do them in the right way. Yeah, they're not exactly. Yeah, they're not exactly tiresome, are they? Really? Yeah, it's a cruise.
It depends. It depends what your schedule is and what you make of it, but it can be what you want it to be, and they're always a good time. So that would be a lot of fun. So, well, listen, Phil, I know it's quite late there in England. I don't want to keep you much longer. I appreciate the time. It's always great to connect with you, and remind everybody the Wild, Willing, and Innocent special edition with a concert remixed from this era included. Great packaging, an incredible record. I love these reissues that continue to come out, and definitely check that out for all the UFO fans out there. And hey, when you're ready with this music and this video and everything you've got coming, you know where to get me. Happy to have you on again to talk about that.
It's on your way.
Phil, all the best to you. Best of health, okay? Take care of yourself. I hope to see you soon.
Eddie. Yeah, and you too, sir. And
all right.
May we meet again.
Yes, look forward to it. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Ladies and gentlemen, there he goes. The one, the only, in my opinion, pretty much the most underrated, in my opinion, vocalist, lyricist, and band. And that is UFO, and that would be the one and only Phil Mogg, who you just heard for about 35 minutes. As tongue-in-cheek as ever. Right down to when he emailed me and said, it's quite late in England. I'll have to get into that bag of speed that Lemmy left me. My gosh. In my book, legend with a capital L. All capitals. And just hearing him talk about Love to Love, which in my opinion is pretty much like the greatest song of all time, just makes my hair stand up on my arms. And I'm not going to go crazy on the air, but you know where I go to when I hang up on a call like that in my mind. Because that is the most sacred air for me in terms of just everything that I was into growing up, and to be able to know these guys and have them on the show, and it's just surreal to me. Just say it all the time. Those 70s guys that I grew up with, just surreal. And you gotta savor every minute, day, year, month that we have with these guys that are still with us. Because, man, sadly, when you think about it with UFO, we have lost many key figures in that band. Pete Way, Paul Raymond, Paul Chapman. But Phil is the original guy that, along with Andy and Pete, were there since day one. But Phil never left. Phil was there through UFO, through all of it. He is the only guy. Pete left, came back. Andy left, came back. Schenker was there, left, came back. Paul Chapman was there. Vinnie Moore was there. There's a lot of guys that have come in and out. But Phil is the one constant with that band. And interestingly, and I will admit a bit sadly, he does not want to revisit that band. And, I wasn't going to pound on him too hard about that, because I have in the past. I had to ask the question, but when he gave the answer, what are you going to do? I mean, he wants to leave the UFO legacy as it is. As you can see, he is fine talking about, and there's nobody better to talk about the history and legacy of UFO than Phil Mogg, because again, he's the only guy that's been there the entire time. An interesting little shot at Schenker. I'll leave that one to simmer out there into the Ethernet, if you will, or the interwebs, or whatever you want to call it. But my gosh, was that I mean, he realized what he said after he said it, but there was no pulling back. Oh my gosh. something along the lines of covering his own songs. It would have been nice with a professional singer. Holy shit. Oh my God. I mean, just that British sense of humor and that it's the best. The best. And I love the Wild, Willing, and Innocent album. I mean, I love all that Chapman stuff, equal to the Schenker stuff. It always makes me crazy when people are like, oh, only good UFO is the Schenker stuff. No, wrong. As a matter of fact, and I forgot to bring this up to Phil, Metallica covered a song on the Wild, Willing, and Innocent album. They covered It's Killing Me. I forgot to mention that to Phil. But one last thing here is, he has said to me in the past that he felt that UFO died with Pete Way. That when Pete didn't do it anymore, and Pete was such a big part of the essence of the band and is such a missed, loved character. But UFO did continue for many years without Pete. Was it the same? No, it can't be the same. Just like any band when they lose a key original member. Can it still be good? Sure. Is it the same? No. Impossible. Impossible. But they did continue and made some good records without Pete and did some good shows. But in past interviews, Phil Maga said to me, it was never the same without Pete. And he never felt, so he, losing his guy, and him and Pete were the co-founders of the band. That was something that just, I think he feels like it was put to rest and he was done. But the problem I have as a fan is that, UFO's last show was going to be in Greece. And Phil had a heart attack. And then he could not, they canceled some shows and UFO just ended. And I just always felt like that was not the way a band of their legendary stature should end. That they should, now that Phil's well enough, and now that you just heard him say he's up for doing some shows next year, I feel like there should just be one big farewell show with Andy, all the surviving members, pay tribute to the members that were lost, do one big show. But he obviously does not and is not going to go there. But what's interesting about that, you could see him feeling that way if he was done, didn't even want to go out at all. Joel, how old is Phil? Look that up for me if you don't mind. He's probably close to 80. So
He's
I could
78.
see 78, close to 80, yeah. So I could see Phil having that position if he was done. He's like, I'm 78, I'm just staying home. I've had a heart attack. I'm healthy now. I'm good. I'm going to enjoy that's it. But the fact that he's doing new music, and now we just found out a second new record, and he will do some live shows, why not just do one as UFO and bring those guys back? But he just doesn't want to go back to that world. It's just interesting to me that in his late 70s, he'd rather start and do something new as opposed to doing something that could be very profitable, even if just for one show, and put a nice button on the end of the band. But look, I'm just happy the man is alive and that he is still got that sense of humor and that he is making new music that's really good and that he is now interested in getting back up on stage again. And also one other thing, I would not expect him to tour. As you heard, he said we'd like to maybe get on a couple of the festivals we have here in England. He is not going to go far from home. If he tours, it's going to be probably in England and around England, close to home. I would not expect him to get out there and do extensive touring at this point in his life. But that's why I brought up the cruise, because UFO was on the Monsters of Rock cruise a number of years ago. And, something like that, where I often say one of the beauties of that event is you see stuff and bands you maybe won't see the rest of the year anywhere. And maybe he does something like that. He said he'd be open to it. It's always interesting when you ask people, especially older people, where they land on cruises. Some of them are absolutely not, no interest, won't do it, won't get on a ship. And others like, oh yeah, that would be fun. So Phil was more in that camp, which was good to hear. I have no idea if that will happen. I'm just thinking out loud because a special event like that would be an opportunity to see him. So anyway, I could go on and on and on. You know how much I love that band. You know how much I love him. You know how much I love that music, his voice, his lyrics, the songs, everything. Also really funny. When the other thing about Michael playing the UFO songs, he checked my PRS. I didn't know what that stood for. But if you didn't pick up on that, that is the and we've talked about this before in the show. If you go and play music, even if you're in a cover band and you play live shows, you have to pay, or the venue has to pay, the performing rights royalties to the songwriters of those songs, even if those people aren't on the stage. So Phil's point and joke was, or not really joke, was that Michael doing all that touring, playing all these UFO songs. Yes, Michael wrote those songs, but the other writer was Phil Mogg. So he said he was checking his account to see if that money was showing up in his account, sitting home in England and seeing some money flow into his account because Michael's out there had been playing songs that were 50% his. So great. All right. Again, I could go on and on and on about UFO and Phil Mogg, but we'll leave it there. Big thanks to him for joining us in what is the evening in England right now. All right, we'll take a break. So you know how I feel about Phil and UFO. If I was making a list and I was going to tell you of my most underrated all-time bands or musicians, UFO would be in every category. And it's tragic they are not a household name in America. But for those that know, they know, and the influence is massive from the last 50-plus years. So, as we said, we weren't sure if we were going to get Phil today. There was some question about that. We did. So we'll go to you guys on the phones now. If you'd like to chime in on what was going to be our topic today with the remaining show time of your favorite underrateds, we can take those calls. And again, remember, tomorrow, wide open phones, no guest, free for all Friday. So you can do that tomorrow as well. Or anything tomorrow. 844-686-5863 is the number. We'll be back with your calls right after this on Trunk Nation.
Hey, it's Mike Dirnt.
It is I, Trey Cool.
I'm Billy Joe from Green Day, and we built an entire channel for you.
Don't wanna be an American idiot.
Idiot Nation. Punk rock from our point of view. Part history, part discovery, part live. And a whole lot of us. Our channel, Idiot Nation, just arrived.
Channel 314 on most radios and wherever you stream with the SiriusXM app, included with most subscriptions.
My name is Christine, and I'm a widow. My husband Ryan died. He was a healthy 34-year-old, and 3 months later, he was gone. Thankfully, he had the foresight to get life insurance. Because we had the 2 small children, he decided it was important to get it to make sure that we would have enough in case anything ever happened. The bills were covered, the mortgage was paid, so I could focus on my kids. With Ethos, getting life insurance is fast, affordable, and 100% online. You can get a quote in seconds, apply in minutes, and get same-day coverage. No medical exam, and you can get up to $3 million worth of coverage. We truly don't know how much time we have. Life insurance didn't take away the loss, but it did give us the time and the space we needed to just grieve.
Get your free quote at ethos.com/quote. That's ethos.com/quote. Ethos.com/quote. Paid spokesperson. Time spent on application may vary. Online health questions required.
Ready for big fun? Start for free at Chumba Casino. Sign up and enjoy a welcome bonus with gold coins and sweeps coins to explore hundreds of online social casino games, all from your phone. Spin, play, and discover something new whenever you feel like it, with no downloads needed. More games, more ways to play. Let's Chumba. Only available in permitted states. No purchase necessary. See terms and conditions for details. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 21+.
Everyone needs to take care of their mental health, even running back Bijan Robinson.
When I'm on the field and feeling the pressure, I usually just take a deep breath. When I'm just breathing and seeing what's in front of me, everything just slows down. It just makes me feel great before I run the play.
Just like Bijan, we all need a strong mental game on and off the field. Make a game plan for your mental health at loveyourmindplaybook.org.
Love your mind.
Brought to you by the Huntsman Mental Health Foundation, the Arthur M. Blank Family Foundation, and the Ad Council.
Small business funding approved and funded same day? At a bank? Impossible. At Cardiff, it's the norm. My name's William Stern. In 2004, I built Cardiff to make it faster and easier to access business funding. We believe that if you have the revenue, you should have the capital. And that's why we've made it possible to get your business approved and funded as fast as today. Since 2004, Cardiff has funded over $12 billion for American small businesses, helping owners grow without the red tape. Our online application takes less than 5 minutes with absolutely zero impact on your personal credit. If you've been in business for at least a year and are doing $20,000 in monthly revenue, you could qualify for up to $500,000 in same-day funding. Don't let the big banks slow you down. Go to cardiff.co/SXM. That's cardiff.co/SXM. Real growth, fast funding. Cardiff. Borrow better.
And now, more Talk That Rocks. Trunk Nation with Eddie Trunk.
The Nostradamus of rock.
Hell yeah. Sirius XM's Faction Talk.
All right, we are back on this Thursday, and we are talking rock with you. We got about 30 minutes left to go in today's show, and I want to get you involved. Again, 844-686-5863. We're officially in free-for-all mode now through the rest of the week, including tomorrow, so open phones, anything you want. But if you want to tie in with my theme of underrated, which we kind of scrapped to some degree because I thought we'd do the whole show on that, and then we ended up getting Phil Mogg. We just weren't sure if it was going to happen or not and didn't know until this morning. Sometimes that happens, especially with big time differences when you're dealing with international and what have you. But it all worked out, and glad that we got him because, again, you got to savor those moments when you still have these artists with us, and be able to get that sort of stuff is just incredibly great and important, at least to me and hopefully to you as well. So if you want to jump in, as I said, UFO to me has always been, in my book, the most underrated band ever. It always boggles the mind that a band like that, with so many amazing songs and records and so much influence on so many artists, like I said, Metallica covered a song from the record that we were just talking about, Wild, Willing, and Innocent. When you think about it, it's crazy. And, you know, to this day, I mean, UFO is not a band that is on the tip of everyone's tongue unless they're big hard rock fans. They're not a band that you hear on classic rock radio or anybody really they have a, bona fide hit, countless albums, more than 50-year history, but not a hit, at least in America. It's crazy, but the people that know, and the influence is great. So if you've got underrateds you want to shout out that you feel that way about, that's all good. Anything you want to hit me with is all good. Again, 844-686-5863. And again, next week, we got Free For All Friday tomorrow. And then next week, we have the show on Monday. Joining me live, Phil Collins. Yes, Phil Collins, legendary drummer and singer, now going in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame as a solo artist, and we voted for him. He'll join us live on Monday. Greatly looking forward to that. And on Tuesday, returning to the show, Neil Sean of Journey, who I just saw play live with Journey last night here in Vegas. So that's how we'll start the week next week, Monday and Tuesday. And then best of shows Wednesday, Thursday, taking a couple days off. And then Friday, we have Free for All Friday. So all of next week is laid out already. And we'll figure out what we're going to do on Wednesday and Thursday for best ofs. I'll work that out with Joel and we'll let you know. All right, so let's get over to the phones right now. We'll get it started with Chris, who's in New York, joining us. Hey, Chris.
Hey, Eddie. What's up, my friend?
Hey,
so
man.
Listen, I got two. So the one that I think always gets overlooked is Living Color.
I just saw them. They were just on the Creed cruise. Incredible.
I think their last album, Shade, was amazing. Corey Glover actually lives in my town. He plays a little club called the Falcon. It's like a jazz kind of club. He plays it like 2-3 times a year. And, you know, he doesn't sing Living Color, though, when he goes. He does, you know, like Al Green. He sings like soul songs, but he's amazing. I think he just does it like before he goes on tour to warm up, but it's cool to see him. It's like a restaurant venue. It's pretty cool.
And he's still got a great voice. He still has his voice totally, man. And that band are all incredible players. But sadly, in the mainstream, I mean, they are known for one song. That's the problem with them in terms of like, now unlike UFO, Living Color does have one huge recognizable song that everyone knows and hears in Cult of Personality.
Right.
So they do have that, but they don't have anything even close to that in terms of popularity. But people that know that band know they're incredible players and they jam and they're great musicians. And yes, there's a lot of other great songs besides that, but you're right in that way for sure.
I always love that song, Open Letter to a Landlord. That's a great song. But the other band that I think that's overlooked, and we talk about them all the time, they're one of your favorites, is Rat. I think, Rat, to me, was the best band out of that Sunset Strip. I just think they were the best. I just think their management messed up. They never put a ballad out. I think that really hurt them. But I just think they were the best from that era.
Well, thank you, Chris, for the call. So going back to Living Color real quickly, there's a song called Type. For people that know that song, it was an album or two after the Vivid album. So good. Such a killer riff. That's one of my favorites as far as like, non-hits, even though it was a single. Rat, it's hard to figure. I agree with Chris. Now, I don't think Rat is underrated. So again, there's a couple different things when you have this conversation. There are bands that should have been bigger or should be bigger because of their legacy now. But I don't think Rat is underrated. I think that there's a lot of people, that certainly know Rat and love Rat, especially if you grew up in the 80s. And they certainly were one of the biggest bands of that era. But to Chris's point, they didn't sustain. And I don't know why. You can make the case, and I have in the past, that Rat should be in the same breath when you talk about the 80s with Motley Crue and with Bon Jovi, who opened for Rat, by the way, or Def Leppard, Guns N' Roses was late 80s, but that upper echelon of the 80s hard rock acts, that they should be in that conversation, and they often aren't. But when you look at the catalog and you look at the amount of songs that they've had that are great songs and great albums, you can make the case that they should be. Why they aren't, I think, is what, to Chris's point, why he feels there's an underrated aspect there. And I don't disagree with him. And why that is, I don't know. It could be the lineup changes. It could be the inactivity. It could be that at times we've had different variations of the band. People really don't know what's what, even right to the current day. Rat as an entity is not active, but Steven and Warren are using the name Piercy DeMartini. But then you also have Steven doing his own solo stuff. So all of that, I think, creates some confusion among people as to what's what. And I think that plays into it a little bit as well. And the other thing, and I've said this before, Motley has done a great job whether it was intentional or not, of exploiting all of their issues. You know, they have done a great job in taking their dysfunction and marketing it. Whether it's, you know, dating famous people, whether it's sex videos, whether it's drugs, you know, drug abuse, which of course nobody's condoning, but, you know, there's been several books about it. Whether it's the movie The Dirt, first the book, then the movie. You know, doing all of that stuff and the fact that they're still living and active makes them appear even larger than life because of what they overcame. So that all, and I'm not saying it's by design, but that all is a big part of marketing that creates this aura about a band. Rat had a lot of the same stuff in terms of the dysfunction, the drugs, this, that, the other thing that Motley did, but Rat never really pushed it out there. You know, there's no movie about the excesses of Rat. Yes, Steven wrote a book, but I think he's the only one that did. You didn't see a bunch of behind the musics and TV shows and what about the craziness of Rat. So that, I think, is a factor as well. And maybe that comes down to management and direction, which is what Chris alluded to. I'm not really sure. Here's Doug in Denver. Go ahead, Doug.
Hey, Eddie. Going with the topic today, I would have to say Catatonia, one of my favorite all-time bands that is definitely underrated. But that's really not the reason I'm calling. I wanted to talk to you about a show I saw in the 70s. Had to have been 1979 or 78. I was 15. I went to see a Barry Fayline concert in Denver. It was called Sunday Number 2, and it was UFO, Heart, The Cars, and Ted Nugent. Not in that order. But I wanted to tell you this story. It's kind of funny. I snuck in I borrowed my dad's camera, a really nice Leica camera, and I snuck it into the show, and I was up front, and I was, you know, as a 15-year-old guitar player, I was enamored with Nancy Wilson, and I took tons of pictures of Heart, tons of pictures of UFO, tons of pictures of Cars, and I was just a kid. I didn't know any better, and I took the rolls of film to have them developed at a local photomat or something like that, just there here in Colorado. And you know, I waited a week or whatever, and I went to pick them up. I was so excited to get these pictures back, and someone had stolen my pictures and swapped them out with a bunch of pictures of a family on a camping trip. So I never got to see my pictures.
Oh, wow.
I was heartbroken. To this day, I still think about it all the time. I'm heartbroken about it. But I was wondering if one of your listeners maybe came across those pictures, because I sure would like to see them someday.
And the film, they didn't give you back the negatives then, I guess, right?
No, none of it. They gave me the negatives for the family on the camping trip.
Oh my gosh!
It was like three rolls of film, you know, just and somebody got some really cool pictures. Like I had a telephoto lens and a really sweet camera, and I was already, you know, probably 5 rows back from the stage. Anyways, but yeah, what do you think about Catatonia?
I don't really know much about him. I mean, what is? I know the name, but I don't really know much about him.
Really cool Swedish, sort of progressive, dark but gorgeous music. I highly recommend check him out.
Kind of like a power metal, like a power metal vibe.
Kind of power metal, a little bit darker than that. I would say a little more progressive. If you were going to check him out, maybe listen to the song Lithian first, and see if Lithian, actually, I think is how it's pronounced. But anyway, I just wanted to run that by you and tell you that story about Fairline concert in Denver. Have you ever heard of any of the other Fairline concerts in Denver? Are you familiar with Barry Fay?
Certainly, I remember the name of the concert promoter for sure, but I don't know. I didn't live in that area, so I have no history with him. But I certainly remember the name.
Yeah, pretty much every show that came through Colorado through the 70s and 80s into the 90s even.
Yeah, well,
that Fairline shows.
Yeah, that's how I got to run, Doug. Thank you. That's how it was back then. I mean, concert promoters were regional. And each area had a concert promoter who had that territory to book shows. So you had, for me in the New York, New Jersey area, we had John Scher Presents and we had Ron Delsner Presents. Those were the two big concert promoters in the New York, New Jersey market that was on all my ticket stubs growing up. We had Ron Delsner on this show a year or two ago. There's a documentary on him called Ron Delsner Presents. And he was on with Sting's son, who directed the documentary. But then, of course, what happened was consolidation. And Live Nation came into existence and went around to all these markets and bought out these promoters. That's how the consolidation of the music industry in the touring thing, and that's why, by the way, right now, as we speak, you've been hearing about these legal claims against Live Nation, which they recently lost because Congress or whatever is, the DOJ is going against after them because of monopoly allegations, because they became so big that they own everything, the venues, Ticketmaster, the promoters, whatever. But it didn't used to be like that in the 70s into the 80s. Each area, wherever you live, had local people who that market was their market, and they promoted concerts there. But then over time, all of these promoters sold, Live Nation came to them. Live Nation was originally called Clear Channel. They came to them, part of that company, at least Clear Channel, which also owned radio stations. So you can see where they owned everything. These days, the radio ownership group of that is known as iHeart Radio or iHeart Media. They've changed the names. The concert promoting end, Live Nation. The ticketing and Ticketmaster. So back when everybody was independent and you would go market by market, you would have, in Denver, it's Barry Fay. In Chicago, it's Jam Productions. On the West Coast or in San Francisco, it's Bill Graham. In New York, it's Ron Delsner. But over time, you get this big company coming around and going to these people and saying, hey, how about you give us your territory? How about we take over your area? We're going to give you a big fat paycheck and you just go away. And pretty much everyone took the deal. What's happened since is that some of these guys have come back up and have started doing shows again. Because what happened was when they sold out to Live Nation and took the money, the contract had language in it basically saying you cannot do concert promotion for 20 years or 30 years. It's known as a no-compete. And it's been 20 or whatever amount of years it's been, 20, 30 years. So now that has expired. Now these people can legally promote concerts again. But the problem is Live Nation already has taken over their territory and in many cases owns the venues, so they don't have anywhere to promote concerts. And most of the time, a company like Live Nation or the second biggest company, AEG, just buys the whole tour. They own the artist. They own the tour. They own all the dates, so you can't even get a date. Like, for instance, last night, the Journey show I saw was presented by AEG. That's because Journey won't play for Live Nation. They have some grievance. But most is Live Nation, and they own everything. And that's why there's this legal stuff going on right now. But some of these guys are starting to do concerts again, but they are smaller shows, they are at independent venues, and they're only things that Live Nation is not already tied into. So they're just doing it because they want to for fun, but it's at much smaller levels than they used to because they're shut out because they gave up the venues or the territory 20, 30 years ago. My friend Danny Zalisco in Phoenix, he's been on this show because he wrote a book about all this. He does shows now. He does some shows here in Vegas. He does some shows in Phoenix, but they're in theaters and they're in places that, and shows that Live Nation isn't a part of because he sold out to them a while ago and they control the big venues. So where this all lands going forward, I don't know, but that's how things are looking right now. Let's say hi to Patrick, who's joining us from Orlando. Hey, Patrick, welcome to the show. What's going on?
Hey, Eddie. Thanks for taking the call. You were talking about, underrated bands, and obviously it seems like UFO is at the top of the list for you. And I, too, was kind of a late bloomer when it came to discovering them as a band. And the whole thing really, and it's a shame, it took me so long, the whole thing was kind of by happenstance. You start going down the wormhole a little bit. I happen to be a huge Led Zeppelin fan, and I've had the pleasure of meeting Jimmy Page, John Paul Jones in my lifetime, so they're definitely that band for me. And, as you love a band and you kind of learn as much as you can about them, obviously Hipgnosis, the record design company, and all the bands that they design albums for and who produced their band, their records and so forth. And, I had, through that experience, kind of learned, okay, Ron Nevison, who helped produce Physical Graffiti, produced Lights Out. And, that kind of got me into, well, why haven't I listened to more of their songs? I know Too Hot to Handle, but that was about the only one. So when I dove into that album, that, led me to their other discs too. But that was like my first real introduction to the band. Of course, love the album. And I think a song on that record that to me is like the quintessential UFO song is Electric Phase. And I'd be curious to know what your thoughts are about it. It seems like Paul Raymond coming into the band at the time that he did, working with Michael, was just pure magic. And that song's just an ideal combination of putting a rhythm with his awesome solos over the top of it. So just that was basically the reason for the call. Wanted to get your thoughts on that track in particular. And I'll hang up and listen. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Patrick. Well, yeah, you're right. There was some crossover there with Zeppelin and UFO in the sense that, as Patrick mentions, Ron Nevison came in to produce UFO, legendary producer. He's been on this show. He came in on Lights Out, which was at the time, and is still probably regarded as the all-time great UFO studio record. 77 was the year. And then would go on to do Obsession and a few other UFO records. But yes, and Ron Nevison was an engineer on Zeppelin records. And then the other connection being the album artwork. UFO used this company Hipgnosis, which also had done Pink Floyd and others, and had very interesting different album covers. And Led Zeppelin used Hipgnosis on Houses of the Holy, Presence. So there was some of that crossover for sure. To answer his question on Electric Phase, which is a song on Lights Out, it's incredible. I mean, the whole record's incredible. Electric Phase is definitely an album cut, was not a single, but it's great. It's a super cool song. I mean, look, if you're talking about anything with UFO, from Phenomenon through Obsession and Strangers in the Night, which is the Schenker 70s period, or anything from No Place to Run through Making Contact, which is the Paul Chapman period, You're not going to get a negative from me on one album or one song, because to me, it is all incredible. That period from what was Phenomenon, 73, through Making Contact, which was probably, I want to say, 83, 84. So that clump of 10 years spanning the Chapman-Schenker eras, not a bad album, not a bad song. And then was good stuff after that too, but it was uneven. Right till the end. But there was some, I've said it many times, on the Vinnie Moore UFO records, like half of each of those records is phenomenal. But there's probably no band I've talked about more than UFO in my career that I've turned more people onto. Even when we were doing that metal show, to this day, people come up to me like, I didn't even know about that band. Now I heard it. Now I get it. And they all ask the same thing. Well, where do I start? Because they have a lot of records. And I always say Strangers in the Night. But then when you're looking studio, Phenomenon, through No Place to Run, or through Making Contact, not a clunker in the bunch. It's incredible. Let's say hi to Brian. He's in North Carolina. Hey, Brian, what's going on?
Hey, man. We talked about UFO, but underrated, Wasted.
Yes.
Because what happened after UFO? Wasted. I mean, you gotta give me that. You gotta give me. They had some. Come on, man.
Oh, I
the
agree.
Rival Sons. I'll give you two right now.
well, hold on, Brian. So Wasted, the first Wasted album, Vices, is incredible.
Yes. Oh my God, this band. That's when I didn't get into UFO because I know my brother didn't have it, but I got into Wasted because MTV and all that. But Pete Wade, and I learned later Pete Wade was in UFO and all that. But Wasted, Vices, and MTV era and all that stuff. But yeah, Wasted. I think Wasted was a band that could have been bigger. Tesla, of course. I think Tesla should be like Metallica. Tesla's one of those bands that, like, man, you know what I'm talking about. Tesla's one of those bands like, yeah, they had that great album, but they never hit that. They never hit that mark.
Well, that's a good point. And ironically, yeah. Brian, Tesla and Brian and Frank and some of those, their favorite band is UFO. So there's a connection there. They've covered UFO songs.
And then Rival Sons. Okay, right now, I'm listening to Rival Sons. And I'm getting to this band. And that's another band. That's a new band. And they did the Back to the Beginning show. And I was floored. And Rival Sons, the bands that should be bigger, it's like, but Wasted is up there for me. Like,
well, Brian, you, my friend, are 100% speaking my language. So thank you, Brian. Anybody that knows me or listens to me knows that Brian just mentioned 3 bands that I absolutely love, and I could not be in more agreement with him. Everybody knows how much I love Tesla and UFO and Rival Sons. Now, some different stuff here, though, because, underrated and should have been bigger are different things, okay? Tesla has done very well. Tesla has had a platinum record. Tesla's had a couple hits. Tesla is going out opening for Motley Crue. Did they become a full-on arena headliner ever in their career? No. Should they have been? Yes. Amazing band still to this day. But there's a difference there. Among hard rock fans, Tesla is a well-known, universally known band. So that's a little different than underrated. Can you say they're underrated? I guess. Depends how you want to frame it. Rival Sons been around like 20 years now. Are they underrated, and should they be way bigger than they are because of how great they are? Yes. But they still could get there. And Wasted was a spinoff of Pete Way leaving UFO, originally to do Fastway, never did that, and instead did Wasted. And I agree with Brian completely. Listen to an album called Vices by Wasted, Waysted. It is the most raw, dirty, kick-ass rock album. Oh, I love it. I listen to it all the time. Also interesting in the Phil Mogg interview, him saying he wants to do Love to Love because they never did that little piece that's in front of the studio version, which is interesting. Anyway, I could talk about this stuff forever. Thank you. Thank you to Phil Mogg for joining us today. If you missed it, go get it on the app. Tomorrow, more of your calls on anything you want, underrated stuff, or just anything in general. Back with you 3 o'clock Eastern for a free-for-all Friday. Have a good rest of your Thursday, folks.
Morning, SiriusXM listeners. This is your captain speaking. Go ahead and turn your radios to Channel 103, where you'll find Sam Roberts Show, the most audacious program available on the airwaves. He'll be